Well, today's guest is a long-term Bikram yoga teacher, and he has caught my attention on Instagram over the past several months because one of our fabulous community members, Katie, who's been on our podcast several times, was following him. And I noticed his posts because she was sharing them inside Rheumatoid Support. And I thought, wow, this guy is doing some fantastic stuff. Not only has he, embraced this lifestyle so well himself over the past 20 years, but he has also taken upon the challenge of helping people outside of the studio who have very serious physical situations to deal with. And I thought, why not hear some stories from him directly about people that he's helped, transformations that he's seen, and just inspire us all that with physical disabilities, it doesn't mean that we can't continually improve on our physical state. So be fire. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, Clint. The invitation was, it was all mine, actually. I really feel grateful for being invited. There's nothing better than sharing the magic of what I've learned and, of course, what you've experienced. And now we can talk about some of the stories and maybe bring something to light. Maybe we'll inspire somebody else to come. I mean, the best thing we can do is to inspire people to help themselves the best way they can,
Most definitely. So before we get into some examples, give us a brief background on your own journey, how you got into this and where you're at right now.
Okay, so I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada. I was a musician. I had a music studio. My singer came out after class and said, hey, my girlfriend just opened up this yoga studio. Why don't we go? And I was like, yoga? What's that? And this is 99, 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago. And so he says, we'll just go down there. It's really hot. It's like, it's like kicking your own ass. And I was like, okay, sure. Like I was into, trying anything. And I had a history of physical background. I had opened a gym with my parents. And so I had some, I knew what it was all about. So went down, took a class, came out of class, sat down on the bench, light bulb came on and said, yeah, I'll be doing that for the rest of my life. It just hit me like I could feel the wealth, the health and the wealth of it. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't know I was going to be a teacher or anything. Like 3 months later, we're taking classes. The studio is getting packed up. And my friend looks at me and goes, we have to become yoga teachers. There's no teachers here. And I was like, what? So it took about a week for my girlfriend actually to convince me at the time to go to the training, which was in LA. And 6 months later, I was down in LA and I took the training, came back, and literally life divided. I went from music to yoga. And I ended up opening up the largest studio, Bikram yoga studio in Canada, in Vancouver. I owned it for 11 years. I had over 500,000 people go through the studio.
Oh my gosh.
It was phenomenal. I had over 350 people a day through the studio. I had 2 yoga rooms. It was a phenomenon. It was crazy. The yoga boom happened. Business came in, big dogs, big money came in, big entrepreneur places opened up. And so obviously the model of yoga shifted a little bit. I sold it 5 years ago. I've been on the road. I've been literally doing laps around the planet. So I've been teaching for 20 years. And my pleasure, my passion is that I have this fire in me that when I go into the class, I can be compassionate, I can be exciting, and I can get the fire started for people to encourage to help themselves the best way they can. I've done a lot of different kinds of yoga, and I have just found that this works the best. And, like everybody's going to have their own thing. And then, within my 20 years, I just had so many people come in, like either in wheelchairs, with canes that walk their whole life. And 3 months later, we have their cane on the wall. So when you start to get this starting to happen, then you start to go, okay, I think this really works. Like not only personally, but I could see it working for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Stress is a big thing. Somebody's got a broken knee's got a big thing. Somebody's got an ailment, a disease that's gone on for years is a big thing. So this class has been magic, and I just feel very encouraged to encourage people to come to try their best. They might not be able to do it all. It doesn't matter. But the greatest thing is whatever they can do in the class, when they come out, they finish, they feel great. And what is this life all about? I mean, feeling great. Mentally, you start to feel so much better. Physically, you feel so much better. Spiritually, you feel much more connected to yourself. So it's a win-win-win. And that's my life endeavor now, is to keep encouraging people, travel and get people to do yoga, Bikram yoga specifically, because it's beginners and it just works for everybody. I have just found myself. So there's my history, and I'm grateful to just continue to do it. I'm in San Diego now for the next month, and I'm happy to be at the largest school in America. It's exciting to be in here when you get over 100 people in the room and the fire is on. But, it still really comes down to this, Clint, is that, and I can see the 18-year-old cheerleader that's just doing all the postures perfectly. And to me, that's not my excitement. My excitement is when I see somebody coming in with a lot of ailments and maybe 50 plus. And I'm like, oh my God, like for me, this is the everything, because we're all trying to find something that helps ourselves, anything. And I truly believe this is it. But when I see somebody come in, I'm going to put all of my attention, all my energy, and whether it's after class, before class, or during the class, it's like, I'm just so excited for them. And then I want to try to help them the best way they can to go to the next steps.
Mm.
There it is.
We're on the same page there, because that's what caught my attention on your Instagram channel. I saw I saw images of people that you were helping, and I said, that is the kind of struggle that so many of people with rheumatoid arthritis and similar inflammatory arthritis conditions have. That's the level that we're talking about. We can't relate, as you said, to the cheerleader 18-year-old. We can't relate to that, but we can relate to not being able to touch our bum to our heels ever in certain seated postures. We can relate to having the struggle of trying to balance on one leg and so forth. So, and this is why I wanted to talk to you. So if you could share some examples, give some case studies of people that you've worked with, or I just loved hearing about someone's cane going up on the wall. I want to inspire our audience who are listening to this or watching this now, who are thinking, yeah, but like I'm not bendy enough. I'm too old, or too sick, whatever. I can't show up into a class. I'm on a cane. I'm in a wheelchair, like you said. Let's shift the paradigm and say, this is it. As long as you can get in the class, you can do it. So can you give some examples for us, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. We can just go right back to my friend that had a cane. The ailment she had, I don't remember, because people come in now. This is what I almost don't hear. It's like, I have, and they have a list. And I'm like, God bless you, you're here. And let's begin. And I'm like, well, I can't, let's just try something. Let's do something. So she came in and she had a cane. She was like 54 at the time. She had a cane for 40 years of her life. People coming in trying to do their best. So the encouragement for people, I know there's a lot of things that you can do, but getting to a studio, first of all, yoga studios usually have a big heart and we want to try to help. Me personally, I'm like, my arms extended to everybody, but that's the first thing you want to try to do, is get to a studio and say, listen, I have some situations. Can I do it? Somebody's going to say, yes, let me help you out how we can do it. So I have a student right now from San Jose. She's 78. She has Parkinson's disease. So, and she used to come, and her son and her family, or odd ends, used to go do class. And she used to sit in the wheelchair outside the glass window and watch. And, if you're familiar with the class, we start with a breathing exercise. So she sit in the chair, and I was, working at the desk, and I could see her trying to do something. And I came over and I said, hi, would you like to do yoga? And she, with the Parkinson's, she couldn't speak very well. And she was like, and so I just grabbed the wheelchair and I rolled it into the yoga room. And everyone was like, oh my God. I'm like, why does someone need to feel outside that class? I mean, we need to accept everybody. And I certainly do. And I encourage studio owners and teachers to do it. I mean, like I said, cool, the 18-year-old cheerleaders in there doing it. But for me, my focus is on health and wellness. And for people that are in a chair right now, maybe they don't know where to go. And the fact that they can show up and they can get some benefits and they can start to feel better. And man, the demonstration with Katie, like, she's just grown so much as a human being. And I mean, that's a testimony and all. And there's 1,000 of them. So now I go and I spend time with, she's not able to get to the studio anymore because of circumstances. I go and I visit her and we just do an hour of yoga, which is still the same sequence because she got familiar with it. And when I come out, the nurses, they're like, "Did you give her some drugs?" And I'm like, "Nope. I gave her some yoga." "What kind of yogurt?"
Yogurt.
And I'm like, "It's just yoga, and it starts with breathing and it gets your lungs going. And then we get the spine moving as best as you can." And, she's in a chair. And so just moving a little bit and just moving a little bit and just moving and just getting the spine moving, getting the body moving. And, Bikram spent a lot of time with the sequence and a lot of time working out the details of how this can help everybody. So I'm an advocate, and I am going to continue to push this as much as I can because the system works. I mean, I've just been doing it for way too long. A little over 750,000 students I've seen in my classrooms all over the world. And, it's just person after person after person. So anybody that's out there listening that thinks, I don't think I can, please pick up the phone, call, go down to the studio, see the person, the teacher, the owner. You can do it. I know you can do it. And if I'm there, I know that I would really help you a lot. So I believe that the teachers are there designed to help people. And that really is a space because we really don't know what to do. And then we can take pills and medications, but it's like, how do I? And so this is where it starts.
I think definitely starting with a studio is the best because witnessing how the postures are firsthand, experiencing them under the supervision of a teacher is certainly far superior than trying to work it out by watching a YouTube video and doing it at home. However, if someone wants to try and do this at home, which I have done many, many times over the years, I find that the process is also beneficial. So my question, therefore, for you is if people are familiar enough to do this at home, are props and adjustments and things okay just to get them through several of the...
Absolutely. I mean, it's not a cookie cutter. We're all different. We're all going to be in situations where, someone has, and it's a list of ailments. I mean, we can't even go through them all, but I know that each person can do a little and it benefits everybody. So another great example is just starting with the breathing exercise. What do we call it? It's called standing deep breathing. Well, maybe you got to sit in a chair and deep breathe, but the idea of how to get the breathing through the throat, how to stretch your lungs, how to get really the use of the lungs. And guess what happens? Oh, I feel dizzy. I feel some energy coming just from breathing, just by using your lungs. So anybody can do them. Yes, you're right. It's good to go to a studio. Maybe they can't, or maybe they want to start by watching a YouTube video. It works. It starts. I know it's a little bit more difficult because you don't know, am I doing it right? That's the whole thing about watching a yoga video on DVD. You don't know alignment and stuff. But usually a person that's not able to get to the studio already is going to listen a lot more and just do the best they can and probably not cross the line until they can get to a studio, where a studio owner might be able to just give them either private lessons, maybe they'll give them some exercises to work on and maybe get them into the room eventually. It might not happen immediately, but eventually. But I really want to convince people you can help themselves and it definitely works. Definitely.
Yeah. There's
I have just too many. You ask me about stories. Like I'm thinking, like I have about 75 in my mind. How do I even start?
It is true, and it is true. And our audience on this podcast have had recent examples of people who've adopted more fully, like a daily or every other day practice of Bikram, and have had transformations, not just with their physical body, but to quote them, my whole life has improved. So across the board, the interaction with their family, with their children, their energy levels, their sleep, and everything. And that's with rheumatoid arthritis. Inflammation is going down. Serious disease. And my own experience, which is why I continually working against the grain in some ways with the popular with trends in yoga. There's some, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Actually, I think that'll be valuable. Sometimes there's some friction at the moment when you talk about Bikram yoga with people who are unfamiliar with it and have just watched a Netflix documentary, for example. And yet, despite that friction, I am still the greatest advocate for this form of yoga because, as you said right at the start, this is what works. This is what works. And anyone who says it doesn't work isn't doing it, right?
Yep.
Because we want to put up a lot of resistance and barriers to things that are challenging and push us beyond our comfort zone. But beyond the comfort zone is where the results are, aren't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to talk about the man and the situation. I have no problems with it because of the fact that, I come from the basis of what works. We don't have to put a label on it or a name or a man or a face or anything on it. It's what works. So I started 20 years ago. It worked for me. My background before that, I used to race motorcycles. At one point, I couldn't walk. I did 10 years of chiropractic, acupuncture, massage, everything you name. And it's like, I just realized like, okay, I'm just going to have a bad back. And then I took one class and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And yeah, it took a little while to get really, really healed, but I fixed myself. And then it just goes on and on and on from that. So when we talk about the man, he's created the series and the series works. Now we have this dirty laundry that's being pulled. And unfortunately, I'm actually quite involved with that whole situation scenario, which is kind of unique because I personally have not seen the film for a couple of reasons. One, my biggest one is like, I don't need to see that to change or make up my mind. I already have the experience. The second one was really funny because I have a few people that have watched this. Unfortunately, Eva that made that film, she actually took a lot of my video clips off of my Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and created that film. Yeah, it's an illegal document. It's an illegal film, and there's much more to the background. I don't need to go into the background of it all, but it was a money situation where they decided to drag the man through the mud. So there's a lot of not true state situations in that, but it is what it is. It's been painted. It's on Netflix. You can't change that. I can't change that. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to focus on what works. The yoga works. So I'm going to continue to be an advocate and continue to promote it. What's very interesting within that sentence alone is that when I really started with Bikram yoga, there was no other teacher trainings. There was not a sequence of yoga. There was not a dialogue of yoga. Bikram had created that. And guess what we have now? Ching! Everybody's got that and their own versions of it. So there's no such thing as a bad yoga. There is no such thing as bad yoga, period. But this is original. This is a sequence that's been tested, proven, and scientifically done in Japan, in Tokyo University, where they spent 5 years really testing the situation. Then I can take my own experience, and then you can listen to the millions of people doing it. So if you just remove the face and the man, if that's really bothering you because of Netflix, I completely understand. I mean, it's a red flag for a lot of people. But if you just look at the yoga, if you just do the yoga, and you just feel the benefits, that's the only thing for the millions and millions of people that are in the world that will never have to deal with the person specifically. If you feel offended by them, you're going to get the benefits and you're going to live better and you're going to feel stronger. And it doesn't mean you have to wave the flag like I do for Bikram yoga, but I know that at least you can wave the flag like, hey, I really feel better. Hey, my bones. There's nothing better than that, right? I mean, there's no drugs and surgeries that are going to cover the situation like this class. So that's my bottom line to it. I mean, and years will go and water will go under the bridge and things will change with that situation. I know there's a lot of plans about what Bikram wants to do in the future. And really, honestly, this is the funny and the best part about it. Every time I have a conversation, there's never one conversation about, oh, that's happened or Netflix has happened. Like he's always so focused on the future. Like we've done this, we're going here. We need to focus on this. We're doing another, and he is all about the yoga. Like if he has only one thing, he's just like, this is his sentence. I'm going to teach yoga until the day I die because it's so helpful and meaningful for people. So however it works out for him, it's not changing my life other than the fact that I have a certificate that teaches yoga. I've been doing it for 20 years. I will continue to do it. And when it works, it works. I mean, that's the bottom line. And not only for myself, I keep saying that, Clint, is that I've just had too many people daily that come in and go, oh my God. And they start explaining, this has happened, helped my knee. This has helped my marriage. This has helped my work. This has helped my, arthritis.
Mm.
lumbago, sciatica, gout, list it. It just keeps going
Mm.
on and on and on. So bottom line, it works.
Yeah. Well, no doubt it works for knees because it's preserved my knee from surgery for a very long time.
Wow.
And whilst it's not going to preserve it forever,
No.
it has really, like, I was talking knee replacement over 10 years ago, and I did 1,000 Bikram yoga classes. At first, I just did a class almost every day, just so
Wow.
that I could walk. Because the days after I didn't do a class, I could barely walk. And so
Yeah.
then I would get to class, and the next day I could walk enough to be able to, go through a grocery store okay, or get to a comedy club or something, which I was performing at. And you know what? That got me through, and then it started to improve, and then it held strong for like the past 10 years or so. And there's more to this story for future episodes as
Hey,
things have developed.
like,
Yeah. But look, it really has given me 10 years on a knee that really should have had surgery
yeah.
a long, long time ago. And I saw something that you posted on your Instagram channel that I played to everyone in the family. And then my kids started doing it. And you know what it was? I think it was a teacher training that you were filming at, and Vikram jumped off the platform, which had to be about 4 feet to 5 feet high,
Yeah.
jumped off
Yeah.
it, bounced around on his feet with his knees bent. Uh, and I look, go to B-Fire's Instagram and follow him on Instagram. It is Bikram Fire, just Bikram Fire on Instagram. Go back
Yes.
about several months and you watch this video, you'll find it. And Bikram's hopping around, and then he hops up the stairs, and he's doing stuff that I'm thinking, your knees aren't meant to be able to do that when you're in your 70s or
Yeah.
thereabouts. Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
He's 76. When he was 18, he had a crazy weightlifting accident. He was training for the Tokyo Olympics. He had 2 spotters. I mean, we're talking about 400. I don't remember the calculated weight, 400 some pounds. He was doing the clean and snatch thing. The weight fell off. The bar came down on his knee and crushed his knee. I mean, he said he passed out. He didn't know. He was in the hospital. 6 medical doctors said, you'll never be able to walk. Not 1, 6. And he went back to his guru, and that's really where the series started to really develop. I mean, he'd been doing yoga forever, but there was no specific sequence. So then he started working. 6 months later, he's walking. Now he's at 76 and he's bouncing around the thing is that we want to alleviate pain. And the easiest thing we do now is we reach out for the pills and the surgery because that's the easiest. Coming to class is not difficult. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes money, it takes dedication. But you said it. I just heard your story. I'm like, as soon as I feel that, yep, 1,000,001 stories I just heard,
Correct.
and it just keeps racking up. It's just way too many people getting way too many benefits from it that it works. So we just have to keep being advocates for it. How demonstrating. Like, I'm 51 now. I can't wait to be 76. I can't wait. Like, I've already been telling people, 100. I'm just going to get the car in gear. And I'm sincere about that because we have this great exercise, this yoga class that preserves our life, makes us feel super clear and clean. And so I'm like, now, like, we're very lucky. This generation of people, and I don't care what age you are now, this is a generation, we've now had this yoga introduced. We're going to live longer and longer and longer. And I know there's a lot of technologies and a lot of medications and a lot of things that are happening that are so amazing that are also going to preserve. But I'm all about natural. And when you have to be able, or at least you said it, you can't walk, you take a class, you can start feeling it. My 78-year-old lady, as soon as she does it, like, she's able to talk to the nurses, and they're like, what is going on? And it's like, it goes on for about 24 hours. And if we don't do it the next day, they tell me right away they see the decline. So it's a matter of really keeping it going because it's a system that works all the systems. It brings you back to 100%, but it lasts about 24 hours. And then it's time to get back in there, or do it again or whatever it is. So it's like brushing your teeth. and doing all the regular things you do every day, you can do yoga every day and you feel it. So
Yeah.
I just get overwhelmed by excitement, especially by hearing your story,
Well,
because there's nothing that
I
feeling
found,
people better.
yeah, oh, no doubt about it. I found that 3 a week, I wasn't 3 a week, and I kind of feel like each time I'm just working as hard as last time to get the
Yeah.
same results as last time. But 4 a week, and I noticed that I am slowly week to week improving.
Yep.
And so for
Yep.
me, and I've heard this many times.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I started to use this formula because someone told me that, and I observed it in myself and realized it to be true.
Yeah.
But going every day, I found massive cumulative effects. Like I found a strengthening in the legs, quadriceps getting stronger, putting on a little bit more lower body muscle, which is important to me because, fighting against being too slim my whole life, and good to have a little more muscle mass.
Yep.
Yeah, and your only downside is what you've highlighted, which is the time commitment. You've got to outlay the money, and
Yep.
it's hard to show up, as you said, and the class is hard. It's a challenge, but what you get out, what you put in. So,
yep. My class starts all the time. In fact, it's about halfway through the class. I just start looking around at everybody, and we're in the Shavasana laying down, and I'm like, I just feel super honored that you guys have made it today, because I know what it's doing to your life. And people are like, what? I'm like, I'm sincere because I know it for truth. So the challenge is to get there. I always tell people the hardest thing is to show up. And when people show up, magic happens, and then they have their own story to write and tell people about it. And it's a story that just keeps going on and on and on. So here we go, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's tell us, there might be people in your area who might be able to come to one of your classes. And I know that I certainly would if I was nearby.
Yep.
So tell us tell us a little bit of your schedule coming up. Tell us how people can contact you if they want to either do a private session with you or attend one of your classes.
Yep. So as you said, my Instagram handle is Bikram Fire. It's also the same Be Fire Yoga on Facebook and YouTube. But I'm here in San Diego for the next month. I'll be teaching at the Bikram Yoga San Diego School every single day for the entire month. I'm sure you can see it online, the schedule. So it just changes every day, like which classes. But I'm here, and I'm actually here a lot. So I'm welcoming guests and at the front desk. I'm doing a few seminars and workshops because I like to get more in depth. This weekend I'm in Palm Desert at the Bikram Yoga. I'll say this wrong, and she's already told me. Is it called Bikram Yoga? No, I'm going to say it. I said it wrong twice.
It's okay. By the time we go live with this, then it'll already have passed. So we're releasing this in a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'll be here for the entire month of March. I might extend my visit. I do like San Diego, and wherever I can fit in. Spent the last 5 months in San Francisco, running Bikram's, the oldest school in America. It was 47 years, so I've done that until just recently. Probably go back to visit that. But if you can get to a studio, now the hard part is to actually get to a studio that offers Bikram yoga, because, of all the things that have changed in the last several years, you now can look up and you can see yoga, you can see hot yoga, you can see, and it's confusing. So unfortunately, unless it says Bikram yoga, that's one thing. But the second thing is you really have to ask questions. Are they offering 90 minutes and 26 postures? Because that is the prescription. They can shorten it. I know why, and I understand all the concepts. This is not a new thing for me. I get why people are doing it. It's a time thing. It's a money thing. It's a business thing. You want in and out. So there's a lot of 60-minute classes, but you miss it because it really takes 60 minutes to warm up the body. It takes 60 minutes to prepare yourself to then start doing yoga. Because as you know, if you've taken the class, we do the first 60 minutes of standing up, looking at the mirror, and the last 30 minutes is on the floor, where we're working a lot of the spine and the organs and the glands and the systems to get you. And that last 30 minutes really gets you into that very meditative state, because 60 minutes, I feel like, okay, that was great exercise. Now I'm ready to go. But that last 3 minutes really brings the mind down to a nice, relaxed tone. So when you leave, you're just kind of blissfully done. And so the people that are eliminating that last half an hour are really eliminating the real medical benefits of the class, fortunately or unfortunately. So if you're going to go take a class, make sure you take a Bikram yoga class. If it says hot yoga or some other thing, because people have changed it, and that's fine. I have no qualms about that. If they've changed it, just ask questions, because the prescription that really, really 110% works is the 26 postures and 2 breathing exercises, 90 minutes, hot room.
Yeah, I agree.
You find it there.
I agree. The 60-minute for a while I was taking because of the scheduling. I like doing the yoga either mid-afternoon or just before lunch. So I like that schedule. I also found that I was responding okay to the 1 hour. However, when times are tough, when the knee is not as good as what it has tended to be, I found that sometimes the 60-minute teachers were only doing one set of each of the awkward postures. And what I was finding, and this was very alarming to me, is that I didn't feel that my legs, and particularly the muscles around my knee to support it, were warm enough by the time I started to do the more challenging one-legged standing. And I actually started to develop almost, not a panic, but I started to develop deep concern during class that my knee wasn't going to be able to handle what I was attempting. And I was having visualizations of collapsing through the knee and all sorts of things that never happened when I was doing the full 90-minute where we do 2 of everything. And it just getting those muscles fully engaged before you started to do the more challenging stuff.
Yeah. And Bikram, years and years and years before this all had started, he had done every kind of time frame there was. There was a 3-hour class. There was a 2-hour class. There was a 60-minute class. There was a 50-minute class, 70. He's done it all. He tested it all. And this is where the formula worked the best. So it's a proven sequence. I don't have to convince you about it. Yeah. Now, somebody's listening right now and going, 90 minutes? That's too long. I can't do 90 minutes. Now, listen, especially as a beginner, I always recommend come in, start the class. If you need to sit down, lay down, miss some postures, no problem. You slowly improve, because just by watching and you build up you don't have to go in there and do 90 minutes full tilt. Like, that's not probably possible for a lot of beginners. And so as a teacher, it's very important to, see the students say, hey, it's good for you to rest right now, really recommended. So don't take the 90 minutes going, oh my God, I'll never make 90 minutes. You're probably right. You just got to go in and start, temp, sit down, breathe, drink some water, get through it, get to the next class, because after a while, you'll start to feel. The sequence with the 2 sets, it's also key. It's so important. I mean, why is there 2 sets? That's what has been created to work the best. Yeah. Like, if he would have came up and it would have been 60 minutes, he would have done 5 minutes. I mean, like, he wants to sell a yoga pill for people to feel better, but there's no yoga pill. I mean, it takes time. But what is 90 minutes of your day compared to how much you feel, right? So that's where the value system comes down to. I mean, you feel so incredible. I took a class this morning, like the endorphins are rushing through my body. I feel like, calm and energized at the same time. Someone says, how do you feel that? Well, come to class. How can we just, you can't explain this. Hopefully our conversation encourages somebody to take class, because that's where it's at. And I certainly would encourage, if I ever get to see you, my friend, in class, that would be wonderful. And anybody that wants to come, my arms are completely open. I'm inviting you. I don't care what ailment, what disease, how old, what you've done, what you didn't do. Welcome. Let's begin.
Fantastic. I love it. What a great place we can close it out. I've really enjoyed chatting. The time's gone very, very quickly. I love talking about this, and I love talking to people with passion. And you have plenty of that, B-Fire. So thanks very much for coming on the podcast. Go to Bikram Fire on Instagram and subscribe to his Instagram handle, because it's very inspiring, and you can see some of the examples, the people themselves who he's helping, and see their transformations. And it's been great for me to witness on Instagram, and now it's been awesome to chat to you live. So thanks very much.
Super, Glenn. Appreciate it. See you soon.